Welcome, everyone. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen, and you have come to the Heads Together show. I am coming to you live from my newest background here in Ponte Vedra, Florida, in my home office, and I'm here with the wonderful Jennifer Wilner. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Bon.
We are dressed in Women's History Month colors, sort of, kind of, and for International Women's Day. We want to welcome all of our viewers from all around the world, and hopefully you will be coming into the show. We want to see you and talk with you. We have a great guest today. Before we get to our guest today, though, I got this great email from our student Julie Kavanaugh, who might be here today, who knows, and she was sharing the significance of the colors for Women's History Month, which are purple, green, and white. And I didn't know this actually, and I like to know these kinds of things. Jen, did you know this? That purple, green, and white are the colors of International Women's Day. Purple signifies justice and dignity. White represents purity, albeit a controversial concept, she says. The women who were fighting for the right to vote wore white. The suffragettes,
yes.
Actually. And let's see. And green, what does green symbolize? I don't know what green is.
Hopefully them breaking the glass ceiling, making a lot of money.
Well, wouldn't that be great? So anyway, Jen and I decided, and our guest today, we're dressing in International Women's Day colors. Welcome to our viewers coming in from all around the world. Welcome to Linda from Michigan and Michelle. Hi. Oh, sorry about rain. Heather from Montreal, Sharon from Boston, Debbie from Boulder, Colorado. We're really happy you're here. So here we are in Women's History Month, and we just had International Women's Day on Monday, really important. I have a few things I want to say about this week in particular and about the time we're living in. You know, it's a very interesting time for women. And as you all know that I'm very active on social media, and I have to say that I've been so impressed this week with the outpouring of support for women, for the shout outs for women, famous and not so famous, who are doing extraordinary work in the world, in the workplace. And you know, people saying specifically about the shoulders who they are standing on, right? So welcome to all of our viewers from all around the world. Hey, Emer and Mary and Dusty. You all are extraordinary people in your own right. And, you know, you've come here because we're going to be talking about Women's History Month and what is happening with women in the workplace. So on social media, it's been amazing this week. And my thought all of this week has been, and this whole month has been, can we keep it going the rest of the year? Can we do that? As we're talking today, and we're probably going to go beyond the half an hour, I would welcome your comments and questions because it's not simple what's going on. I just think it's a great bright spot that there's been so much positivity about the, celebrating the achievements of women on social media. But it's also been a very tough week for women in general because we've gotten some, all you have to do is turn on the news and you've seen the news out of New York State about Governor Cuomo and being accused by several women of sexual harassment. So that's one thing. Then we have the big news out of London, out of the UK, with the royal family being accused of essentially workplace bullying. And workplace bullying is very much in the news. The reason why that's important to talk about on a show like ours is because the profession of assistants is 95 to 98% female. And we know that whether you're famous or not famous like us, like all of you and, me and Jen and our guests, we're not on the headlines. And yet workplace bullying and sexual harassment are global epidemics for just normal women. Women happen to be the primary targets of these kinds of behaviors. Does this happen to men? I often get asked that question. And of course, the answer is yes. Yes. But the data shows that the percentages of men who are bullied or harassed by women is so tiny compared to the very big numbers for women. So in this Women's History Month, in this week that's International Women's Day, let us commit to keep shining a light on these issues when we see them, because that's what's going to move this workplace forward. Okay, so that's about that. So thank you all for being here. And I want to introduce to you our very special guest today, who's got so much wonderful information to share. And wow, is she an advocate for the administrative profession. So let me make sure I get all this right about the amazing Nadine King. I just learned about Nadine King a few months ago. I don't know how we missed each other on social media, but now that she is on my radar, she's not getting off. She's been working as an assistant for over 20 years. She's based in Atlanta. She's a special assistant at Spelman College. Over her career, she's supported so many different kinds of C-suite executives and vice presidents and church leaders, etc. She is the CEO and founder of Black Admin Magic. And she is also the founder of the brandy new group that just launched like a week ago. So new that she's here to talk about. It's the National Association of Black Administrative Professionals. I heard her refer to it as NABAP. So we'll see if I got that right. She's a coach. She's a pastor. She's an author of a book called The Ninja: Chronicles of an Assistant. Clearly, Nadine is an advocate for administrative professionals, supporting the growth of others in various administrative roles. And that's what we need. We need advocates all over our country, all over the world. Can we please welcome Nadine King?
Oh, wow.
Hi, Nadine.
Hi, Bonnie. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so happy to meet you. Yeah, you've been the talk of the town.
I'm listening to you read. About me, and I'm like, who is that woman?
I know. And then to know that you're married and have 4 children.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You told me ages 17, 15, 11, and 7. And even though the 7-year-old doesn't live with you, that is a lot on your plate, but we'll be talking about that. So to our listeners, if you have questions, comments for Nadine, Jen is going to be putting her links in the chat. So Nadine is for sure going to tell you all how you can stay in contact with her and how you can learn more about the organization. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful experience so far. We are not done. The work is still, the fun stuff starts. You get past building a little of the foundation, and now the fun is about to happen. So I'm excited. We have a great team. We have great board members, and we have people like you, Bonnie, that are allies and supportive of the work that's needed for equity and the conversation to continue as we look at diversity and the workplace. So hats off to you, and I appreciate you for inviting me to your platform today.
Well, you are welcome. The work you are doing, I have goosebumps. The work you're doing is so important. And yes, we need to be allies for the Black community, for all of the different communities, because we know, just look at our community, look at the names in Heads Together today. Yeah. They represent so many different ethnic groups. It would be so silly and it really would be not smart to fight this any further, and to shove the bad stuff under the rug. But, for me and for my shutter went dark. Just bear with me a second. Ooh, that hasn't happened before. So sorry. Yikes. Oh dear.
That's okay. You're still the light in the dark.
Now that's a study. So, isn't that interesting? All right. I am going to continue with this interview because I am having trouble with my camera. But you know what? I'm gonna switch cameras. Ha.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm going to do that, and my background won't be as exciting, but the best laid plans, assistants have to do what we have to do, right?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's try this. All right, so Nadine, for me and for others who don't know you very well, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions so we can get to know you a little better, okay?
All right, shoot 'em.
Okay. Beyonce or Diana Ross?
Diana Ross.
Ooh. Favorite TV show as a child?
Golden Girls.
Golden Girls?
You know what? And I'm a big Law and Order SVU fan, but I love Golden Girls and Law and Order SVU. If I have to choose,
oh my gosh,
I would sit all day and watch it. The writers for those shows are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay. Who's your favorite character on Golden Girls?
Sophia.
You like the feisty one.
I like the feisty one. I love, she was and it's crazy because she was the one that I think she was the youngest, if I'm not mistaken, or she wasn't older. They made her look older. I think Dorothy was considered older.
Estelle Getty.
Yeah.
Such a great actress.
Yeah, but yes.
When travel is safe, where's the first place you're going to go?
Oh, I want to go to Bali, the Bahamas, somewhere there's blue water and white sand. I'm in heaven.
That's a lot of bees. Bali, Bermuda.
Or somewhere, as Sophia would say, where the sand can get in the wrinkles of my skin.
Wow, you do know that show really well.
Yes.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I'm not a big ice cream person, but I'm pretty basic, so I would butter pecan.
Oh, okay. One book on a desert island, what would it be?
The Bible.
Favorite app?
I love anything Google. So right now I'm feeling Keep Note.
Okay then. Favorite movie?
Yentl.
Are you kidding me?
I grew up on Barbra Streisand. So
me too.
Oh yeah, my mother, The Way We Were, always played in the house. Yentl. And so my favorite song on there is when she's singing to, Papa, Daddy. So it's my favorite movie. So I love it.
My favorite movie is The Way We Were.
Yes.
Favorite superhero?
Mystique. I love X-Men. I like Mystique.
Favorite beverage?
Coffee.
Me too.
Yeah.
Last thing you binge watched?
The Undoing on HBO.
And then one last question. What's one thing that's not on your LinkedIn profile that would be cool to know?
You know what? If I had my way, I'm kind of a hippie and free spirit at heart. So I'm like the person that likes to work barefoot everywhere. If money were no option, I'd probably live in a beach town where I could walk to the store barefoot, ride the bike barefoot, and just be close to the earth. So, and I probably don't look that way, but literally, like if my hair was to get wet, my fro would come out, and that would just be me living who I truly like.
Wow.
am. So I think some people find that interesting. I love to camp. And I do the rugged camping. I'm not a glamper. I'm an actual camper. So I believe in getting off the grid, figuring it out, cooking cans, rugging it, eating the leaves, however, finding out what you can and cannot eat. So my husband was actually intrigued when we got married that I was willing to do that. And he's just like, oh God, I didn't think you were like that. But yes, that's me. That's me.
Very good. Well, that is so interesting. I love doing that little exercise because in like 2 minutes, we get to know so much about you. But now we get to the meaty stuff that we heard you've been at Spelman for 5 years, Nadine, and you started NABAP, the National Association of Black Administrative Professionals, which is such an exciting new development in the EA landscape.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that journey. What made you do it, and how can our listeners become involved?
Well, I started Black Women Magic, I would say like towards the end of 2019, kind of started, the ideation stage of it, figuring how can I support Black administrative professionals, especially working at an HBCU where you see the lack of funding. Not saying that we don't have lack of funding, but everybody knows HBCUs have suffered, the opportunities for sourcing funding. Am I too low?
I was having a little trouble hearing you because of those acronyms. I was trying to just catch.
Okay, thanks. So, I work at a historically Black college and university, the #1 HBCU in the nation, which I absolutely love. But being there, I realized that some of the administrative support staff and even at other organizations really needed support. And those that are African-American Blacks need that extra push. I had an experience where I worked at an institution where I was the only Black administrative professional at the table. I had experiences where I was treated as the help, not given an opportunity for advancement, was looked over, actually trained someone who didn't have as much experience as I did, but was looked over for the promotion, and that person was given the promotion before I was. So I have experienced that in, the years of my career.
Yeah.
And with that, and like I said, working where I work, kind of thought there should be something for Black administrative professionals to come, share, not feel threatened, have access to opportunities, share their stories, talk about their experiences, and feel safe. So I started off with just Black Admin Magic, which was focusing on just women of color in the profession. I started off just giving interviews, them telling their stories, kind of creating community, doing co-working hours. We also did some opportunities for them to network, where we did what we called, I forgot the name of it. It slips me right now. It was a year ago, so forgive me. But just doing small events, kind of like a grassroots, and sharing with others, and it kind of grew from there. And then once we finished at that to ourselves, that since there's no association, you have the National Association of Black Lawyers, you have the National Association of Black Accountants, Black Physicians, right. You have all these other associations, but there's never been one for Black administrative professionals. And so it kind of evolved into that. We created a board based on our network, and the team has grown. We've got a VP of brand marketing, a senior vice president of partnerships. My husband supports, and he does our content creation. We just acquired an associate editor who's working on our newsletter and some other major projects that, we won't talk about at this moment, but just so many opportunities have opened up, and everyone who has joined the community is excited. We have individuals that are just supportive allies that are like, yes, how can I support the work? So I hope I answered your question. I kind of get excited.
Yeah, no, totally. And I knew that this question would come up today. Annette Ramos is asking in the chat, when is there going to be an organization for Hispanic assistants? I mean, because when I heard about your organization, Nadine, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like, why has this not happened before? But it always takes somebody to have that idea. So Annette, you know what?
Hook up with us. I mean, we actually, there's some that identify, my grandfather is Puerto Rican. So, and I know for him, there's some Hispanics or in that Latinx community that they identify as Black. You have, there's so many different terms. So we welcome, Hispanics and those that are in that group. If you're open to join, absolutely reach out. You can go to our website. But I'm actually talking. I think her name is Mary Alvarez. Is that how you say it?
Mary Alanis is on the call.
Yes. So I want to definitely connect with her because we had a conversation personally together, and she was like, I never thought of doing that. And I'm like, yes, there's all these other organizations that support groups that have been marginalized, and that's the whole focus. I believe in leveling the playing field.
Yes.
I believe in, everybody having an opportunity to start at the same level, having access to the opportunities. Now, whether you take advantage is something different, but I believe in that. I believe in righteousness, and that's just the right thing to do. So absolutely, it's necessary for us to think about charting or starting these organizations and getting them on board. So,
yeah. I know you know about the article I wrote it for Black History Month, and I called it "Shining a Light on Black Assistance."
Yes.
And inevitably, I received an email about, well, when are we going to do one shining a light on us? When this group and that group. I'm like, bring it. Like, let's collaborate. And I totally mean that. Like, Dusty Klesner's on the call, shining a light on male assistants, shining a light on Hispanic assistants. If it's real, if it's honest, it deserves to have some play here.
And I see Sherwin says, fantastic. I love Sherwin Weber. Thank you. Absolutely. And our organization is for Black administrative professionals, whether you're a man or a woman. So
fantastic.
We definitely are bringing that to the conversation.
So great, Nadine. I am so delighted to be in on this in week one. I'm so curious, in these first few weeks, have there been any surprises, about interesting feedback that you've gotten from anybody who's learned about it? Just curious to know, or has it gone pretty much the way you thought?
No, well, we've had some inquiry, those that are allies that we would say, that are not Black, want to support. So just trying to not trying to, we're forming an opportunity for allies to support the organization, because we continue to, cultivate programming that pushes Black administrative professionals forward. Otherwise, we've gotten great feedback. We launched on February 27th with a conference. It's absolutely amazing. We had dynamic speakers. They were great. We had great feedback from them, saying that, the attendees, that they really enjoyed the content, and we offered it at no cost. And that was part of my spirit is, being an advocate. And sometimes when you're an advocate, you got to give things of your fruit, your labor for free. It's nothing to take from you if you offer it. And I think that's definitely that we offered top quality content, but we didn't charge anything. So we got great feedback.
Right. And by the same token, as you move forward, this community knows that things cost money, though.
Yeah.
So, what I've experienced in my career is that if you tell assistants the truth about what things are, they can deal with pretty much anything as long as you're straight. As long as you're a straight shooter. Yeah. It's the deception and the going around the back. So great. Dusty's happy to be here. So happy you're here, Dusty. Nadine, you have such an interesting background as a pastor, an EA, a coach, an author of a book. And those are very big things. These efforts, it seems to me it gives you a very unique view on the world. What are you seeing? Give us a sense of what you are seeing that will help our listeners.
I think it's important to have something that roots you and keeps you stable. And for me, it's my faith. And through that lens, I view a lot of things, the things that are happening in our world, even my work, everything is rooted in my faith. And that keeps me centered. It keeps me focused on what's necessary. It keeps me in a place where I'm able to provide an answer when there's confusion or there's frustration. And so so much is happening. You know, our world has been flipped upside down, you know, with the pandemic, and it's been flipped upside down with the recent rise of racial issues. There's so many things that we're dealing with, even with our economy. I mean, there's so much that's unsettled. People are unsettled. They're trying to find a place of peace and trying to find a place where they can get an answer. You know, people are, as they call it, trying to find their tribe. And so with everything that I do, the most important lens, like I said, is my faith. And I understand that righteousness exalts a nation. That's one of my favorite scriptures. And even if you don't believe in what I believe in, you have people that have certain faiths, whether they're a Muslim or they're a Buddhist, that righteousness is pretty much centric. It's an idea of just do right by people, be right by people. Even with what we've suffered, you have to find that place where you understand that being an upright individual is necessary. And so for me, that's exactly where I'm at. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, I when you were talking, it made me think about your story about how you were looked over for the promotion.
Yeah.
May I ask what age you were? Do you remember about what age you were?
I was I'd say midway through my career. So I was probably in my late 20s, early 30s.
Late 20s, early 30s. Now, did an event like that make you question faith at all? Or does adversity make people test their beliefs? You know, when something like that happens, that's so unfair.
It can. I think because I've been really rooted. I use that when adversity comes to help keep me from going off the deep end. So yes, you can question, but for me, you know, first of all, it's an internal workout, right? So what you believe and how you stay grounded is an internal workout. I can't expect everybody to have the same mechanisms operating in their selves, their integrity, their heart, and things of that nature. And so you understand that. I do remember at that time being angry, you know, and like, God, why? Why not me? I mean, like, I don't understand. But even after that moment in my humanity of feeling like, I just can go off and I'm angry, I still had to fall back on what was true, and what was true to keep me centered, and what was true to keep me from wanting to go fight somebody or beat them up because they did me wrong, right? Because I mean, it was obvious. It wasn't just obvious to myself,
Right.
obvious to others in the office that, are you serious? This individual has shown that they don't have the same work ethic.
Yeah.
Overlooked. But I can't remember exactly how I felt, but I know that whether I felt that for a moment, like, what is this all worth it? I found my way back to
Right. And I suspect that your new organization will go a long way, that when your members individually as groups experience adversity, you'll be able to rely on the strength of the group.
Exactly.
And the mentorship and the advocacy. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing. Nadine, I think it's pretty clear that this past year has been challenging, particularly for women. 2 million women have left the workforce due to the pandemic, you know, due to having to work at home. Now, not all of them were assistants, thank goodness. But from your view in Atlanta, in the work you're doing, when you look at the workplace, you know, because I know you're on social media, you hear, you're, you know, tapped into a lot of people. What are you seeing that you're worried about, and what are you excited about as we look ahead into these next months?
You know, one thing I see that there's so many different generations in the workforce right now. You know, you've got baby boomers, you've got, you know, Gen X or whatever. It's like what, 4, maybe possibly 5.
Yeah.
One thing that concerns me, I think, as we move forward, is that people are not adaptable and not willing to change and not willing to see it differently, that you can get left behind. you can get left out of the conversation. And so bridging the gap, it's important, bridging the gap, because I see on one end, because I'm kind of in that middle, I see on one end that we need the wisdom. We need the wisdom of those that have gone before us, as it pertains to career, work life, we need them. And then we also need the new way of doing things, the technology, all of that. But there has to be a way to kind of bridge the gap and keep the conversations connected, and not being on too heavy on one side or the other. So because we have shifted in a different way of looking at how we approach work. Oh, sorry, that was my light. Like, we both have technology issues, but how we've approached work and how we've approached career, life, and all of this work-life balance and being in a remote environment. Some companies trying to push back to going completely back in person, and you have this fear. So people get left out of that conversation because they are not in the seats to control the organization. I read an article about, I won't name, one of the organizations saying that they felt that this pandemic it's basically been a thorn in the flesh, and they just can't wait to get back to 100% in person. But at the same time, we've had all these emotions and things to think about: our health, the health of our families, the stress of it, the stress of going back. If we go back to in person, what's going to happen? Why, if I have to take the vaccine, do I not? My faith tells me I shouldn't. It's just all of these different emotions that we're dealing with, that I'm afraid that conversation is going to get lost. And,
or worse, make it contentious.
Yeah. You've got one side.
We cannot. I mean, that's my fear, actually, is that these new challenges are going to make us do this.
Yes.
And we know that historically, the profession is 95 to 98% female. So females, there's not any assistant I've ever met who hasn't had some history with assistants behaving badly. Well, we need to seize this opportunity, in my view, as we look ahead, to resist doing this at all costs.
Yeah. That
we have to find the bridge. I mean, I like using that word too, bridging the gaps.
You got to bridge the gaps.
Yeah. And then that we should, that's our goal. And that we're not going to settle for anything less so let's shake on that.
There you go.
Handshake. Women famously put ourselves last on the list. That, my goodness, with 4 children, husbands, all these things going on. Do you sleep? Ever pull back the curtain on how does Nadine do it? Your nails are done. You look gorgeous. How are you doing it?
I wish I could say that I'm a superwoman, and that, the hair doesn't grow on my legs, and that, I don't wake up with, the hair lopsided on one end, and I'm like, let's sleep in my eyes. Like I said, it's not cliche for me. My faith is, I rely on the Holy Spirit. That's my faith. And I'm not afraid to say that that's what I do. Is prayer is important for me, and I pray a lot. But beyond that, my community, I've learned over the years, especially growing up, and seeing, we've had this idea of being superwoman. As Black women, we have this conversation about being the strong Black woman, and you take on all of it, and you seem weak if you can't take it on. You seem like you don't, have your eggs in the right order. But the truth is that the wealth that I consider is my family. I consider that I am a wealthy woman because I have family. I have a family that I can lean on if I need to. I can lean on my husband, number one. I can lean on my parents. I can lean on my cousins, my uncles. Family is so important to me. And so I think that for any woman, especially if you are an entrepreneur, if you are an advocate, whatever you're doing, build a network with your family. We look at trying to build networks first beyond our family. But I think looking at who we have around us can help us be wealthy and support us. So I lean on them a lot. I lean on my husband, when I'm feeling weak and tired. Hey, babe, can you help me out? And he's there. He's helping me out. I lean on, my dad, my mom. can I get some support? But I do take time to unplug. And when I unplug. And so there comes
and go camping.
Yeah, there goes the camping. And that's why I like it, because camping is like, no electronics, no electricity. Yeah. You wake up when the birds are chirping, you go to bed when the light, it just gets completely dark, and you're in nature. And because I'm a thinker and I'm wired the way that I'm wired, it's necessary for me to have that type of unplugging. So that's how hopefully that answers that. That's how I do it all.
Right. As you were talking, I was thinking, oh my goodness, NABAP is absolutely going to have a camping retreat, probably.
Let me tell you, that would be the first thing that I would do as a camping. And I probably would get a lot.
You're in charge. You get to say.
I get to say, right? I'll get a lot of side eye. Like, you must have a log cabin out there. Nope. We're going to pitch tents and sleep in sleeping bags. They're going to be like, I quit.
Yeah, I'd be the glamper.
You'd be the glamper, right?
So, Nadine, as we're heading towards wrapping up for today, our listeners, I'm sure, are captivated. Jen, please put up any questions that are in the chat. If anyone has anything for Nadine, I would love to give you, Nadine, an opportunity to give us some final thoughts for today, some advice for our listeners as you look at the assistant community and the challenges that we have ahead of us, and then what should they know about NABAP?
Oh, man. I would say, any advice, dare to have the difficult conversations and dare to be a fire starter. I mean,
Oh, I love that.
You might be the first person at the forefront starting a conversation. Someone asked a question about the Hispanic organization. Just do it. I mean, and do it afraid. Do it without any clear. Sometimes we have to do things without any clear path of how it's going to get where it's going to get. Sometimes we start without a full puzzle in mind or all the pieces, but just start. Dare to have the conversations, dare to start the fire, be different.
Yeah.
My advice. I mean,
let me ask you this question. How long ago did you have the seed of the idea for NABAP? I mean, I know it launched like 5 minutes ago, but how long has this been brewing? Because these things don't happen like that.
That wasn't until November, when I had a conversation with our VP of brand marketing and was trying to determine how we were going to level up and scale up and do something different. That was November of last year. And
that was still pretty quick.
It was pretty quick. Yes. We just started the branding transformation, putting in our 501c3 paperwork. I mean, just doing all of it. I would say it was November. It was November.
Wow. So you're a 501c3. We're in process for that. Our application is in, so we should be getting an answer at any moment. Very good. Great. Laura Belgrado from Brussels. Hey, Laura. She's saying, do it scared, but be prepared. She said.
Yeah. You have to do it scared, and I will even challenge that. I think there is a level of preparation, but then there's also some times where I've coached clients that they get hung up on getting every little piece prepared, that I'm like, listen, let's start with this and the fire will grow. You can start with just a little bit and don't wait for the perfect moment to have all your ducks in a row. Because I used to have a virtual assistant company. I had it for about 2 years, and it supported me and my family for 2 years until I decided to move on and do something different. But I did that without really knowing much about running that type of company. And I prepared as I went. I prepared as the doors open. I'm one of those that believes in stepping out, and I don't see the next stone to step on, but I'll walk on that stone and then just be like, I know the next one's coming.
Yeah. Well, do you think that's in part because you have this rock solid support system behind you? So if you started falling, that there would be people to catch you.
Not necessarily.
That part of it? No.
No, because I would say wisdom has taught me to rely on my family within the last 5 years or so. And I've been building towards that because I'm not always one to open my mouth and say I need help. But I'm learning that. I'm learning how to do that. So I haven't always been in that space. That's
interesting. Thank you for sharing that. That it hasn't always come easy to you to ask for help.
No. No.
Thank you for sharing that. Mary Alanis has a question for you, Nadine. It's on the screen. What would you recommend to administrative communities to do more of? Where are we missing the mark? You know, like what's on that top of your list for NABAP?
The top of the list is to get more technologically inclined and leaning more to advancing in that area. I think that a lot of administrative communities, we may focus too much on the what we would consider soft skills, and considering where we're going with artificial intelligence and using it more in our personal lives, I think is important so we can help our executives use it more in their lives.
Yeah.
But be on top of that technology, stay on top of it. If you can just, for the fun of it, use different apps, read different articles about it, and just don't be afraid of it, embrace it, lean into it. And that way you become transformative and you might be ahead of the ball, especially depending on where your organization is with the technology, where you might can answer some questions. So I think technology, having that back.
Yeah. I think most everyone on the call would agree with you. Like during this pandemic, so much training has been going on. People have been getting their Microsoft certifications, which has meant so much. I was in on a CEO webinar last week, and they did a poll during the webinar, and the number 3 thing, the top 3 things that CEOs were concerned about. The first one was employee engagement because of the whole work at home environment. The second one was keeping their staff trained up. Training was super front of mind. And the third thing was cybersecurity. So that definitely goes into what we're talking about here, that if any of you are really interested in keeping the data safe, that would be something to learn more about, because CEOs are absolutely worried about it.
I just quickly, I just want to say, for me, like, I've always been one, when I have to call STS or we call it Spellman Technology Services or IT, I always pay attention to what they're doing on my computer.
Sure.
And I take notes and snapshots. And so it keeps me where I'm able to troubleshoot and know, but to kind of, I think, EAs should have some sort of certificate and troubleshooting technology. Like you said, cybersecurity. And one other good one is, it just slipped my mind, but I know we got to go. But just learning that. Oh, coding. That's what I was thinking about.
Coding.
I'm taking some coding classes myself. I don't specifically need it. I mean, I don't do anything in coding, but just to be able to have that in my back pocket, you never know when it's going to come in handy. So
to be able to do the little simple coding, because in websites and all, to do simple things like change the color or change it from bold to, even I have dabbled in that. But Nadine, what a joy. And I can see in the chat that our listeners have been so delighted. Thank you, Terry.
Oh, thank you, Terry.
So you will have this replay on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. As we wrap up, I invite each of you to go to the Be the Ultimate Assistant website. There are free resources on there, which are all designed to empower you to be the strongest assistant you can be in both the soft skills and the hard skills. In my view, that's the definition of an ultimate assistant. Is to have one without the other is a formula for failure. We've got a lot of BTUAers on this call today. Vicki and I did our Be the Ultimate Assistant on demand class, and therefore we are offering anyone listening to this a coupon code of, Jen, help me out, BTUA bonus OD to save $250. I think that's right. I think she taught me well. My assistant, B2A bonus OD, $250 off. We'd love for you to be involved with the community in any way. And Nadine, I hope it seems like you know that Be the Ultimate Assistant, Bonnie Low-Kramen are allies for you and want to support the organization that you're building in any way we can. That I want to help build these bridges on the road to what I refer to as an ultimate workplace. Together, we can solve workplace bullying, sexual harassment, close this wage gap. You have 4 kids. I've got a kid. We've got parents on this call today.
Absolutely.
We want this workplace to be better, not only for ourselves, but for them.
For our children, yes.
Don't you want that, Nadine?
I believe in a generational mindset. You know, it's not about me. What I'm doing is actually for the next generation. So, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's networking happening on the chat right now. Nadine, I have a feeling your LinkedIn connections are going to blow up. Please connect with Nadine and get involved with the new organization, the National Association of Black Administrative Professionals. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Right. Thank you.
And thank you, Jen, behind the scenes. And thanks for understanding the whole technical issue. And we will see you next week with Vanessa Perino coming to us from Boston.
Oh, wow.
You want to meet a Renaissance woman from, oh boy, she's doing great things and taking no prisoners. You'll be really excited to meet her. Okay, see you next week, 3 o'clock Wednesday Eastern.